What if I told you there was a vast global empire, highly advanced, incredibly organized, and completely erased from our history books? This is the story of Tartaria, lost civilization that may have once ruled the world, vanished without a trace from the 1500s to the 1800s. European maps featured a vast region labeled Tartaria. It stretched across northern Asia, covering most of what we now call Siberia in Russia, parts of Central Asia, including Kazakhstan, Mongolia, and even China, and sometimes even extending toward Eastern Europe or North America. Some maps called a Great Tartary, Independent Tartary, or Chinese Tartary. But here's the strange part. Despite appearing on maps for centuries, the name Tartaria vanished from textbooks, atlases, and classrooms in the 1800s. Mainstream historians say it was never a true empire, just a vague label used by Europeans for lands they didn't understand. They say it described nomadic tribes like the Tatars, Mongols, and Turkic peoples, not a single civilization. But what if that's not the full story? Some researchers believe Tartaria wasn't just a region, but a highly advanced global civilization. So what was Tartaria really? All over the world, we see evidence. Buildings with impossibly intricate designs, massive columns, and buried lower floors. Cities like Paris, Moscow, Washington, D.C., and even Manila shared the same mysterious Tartarian style, despite being thousands of miles apart. Why do so many of these buildings look like power stations or resonance machines? Were they just decorative or part of a lost energy grid? Massive domes, giant archways, doors so large no human could open them alone. These aren't futuristic concepts. They're real structures built hundreds of years ago by a civilization we're told never existed. These were supposedly built in the 1700s or 1800s. Yet, even with today's machines, recreating them would take decades. Were they constructed without electricity, cranes, or modern tools? And more importantly, who built them? Many of these buildings featured giant doorways taller than any person, stone blocks cut so precisely you can't fit a blade between them. Some even appear melted, as if shaped by unknown technology. Historians call them Victorian or neoclassical. But those labels don't explain the scale, precision, or mystery. They don't answer the question, where did this knowledge come from? Some believe these were the architectural fingerprints of Tartaria as a global empire lost to time or erased on purpose. Old black and white photos show immense cities-wide streets, perfect domes, and buildings stretching far into the horizon. Yet, the cities are strangely empty. No crowds, no construction equipment, silence. If these cities were just being built, where are the workers? They were already there. Why aren't we taught who built them? Could Tartaria have been a civilization with lost technology? One that left behind structures we still can't explain? Or are these just coincidences that history refuses to revisit? One of the most controversial theories tied to Tartaria is the mud flood, a global catastrophe that buried entire cities in mud, erasing the evidence of a previous high-tech society. Many old photos show buildings where windows and doors sit strangely below ground level, as if they were once part of a ground floor that no longer exists. Was there a cataclysm they're not telling us about? And if so, who survived it? All around the world, London, Paris, Moscow, we see buildings that appear strangely, sunken basement windows, buried arches, and doors that lead into dirt. In many cases, entire first floors are underground, and not just one or two buildings. We're talking entire city blocks. If these buildings were truly built this way, why design entrances that open into walls of mud? Or were they once above ground, then something massive happened? According to mud flood researchers, the answer is chilling. At some point in the 17 or 1800s, a worldwide cataclysm struck. A sudden, unexplained flood of mud, covering cities in meters of earth, burying buildings, wiping out cultures, and resetting civilizations. It wasn't just one city, it was global. They say this event erased the Tartarian Empire, a highly advanced civilization that may have ruled vast regions of the world. The survivors, they rebuilt on top and rewrote the story. History says these sunken buildings are just design choices, that the ground rose over time. But if that were true, why are the same patterns found on multiple continents? Photos from the 1800s even show workers digging out already buried structures. Could this be the forgotten evidence of a historical cover-up, or are we staring at the ruins of a lost world hidden in plain sight? The truth may be deeper literally than we ever imagined, because sometimes what's buried isn't just buildings, but the truth itself. Now, consider this. Cities like Chicago and San Francisco hosted world fairs in the late 1800s. Massive cities of marble, domes, and towers, allegedly built in just a few years, only to be destroyed shortly after. Why build such beauty just to burn it down? Some believe these events were used to reset civilization, reintroduce society, and rewrite history after the fall of Tartaria. According to official history, these structures were temporary, made of plaster and wood. But here's the mystery. Designs were unbelievably advanced. The scale, monumental, and the construction, completed in less than 2 years with 1800s technology. Does that sound realistic? Or were these buildings already there? Shortly after each exposition ended, these breathtaking cities were torn down or mysteriously burned. The Chicago World Fair of 1893, mostly destroyed by fire. Why spend millions building temporary architectural masterpieces? Some researchers believe these weren't fairs at all. Alternative history theorists suggest the world fairs were really about one thing: reclaiming and rebranding the old world. They say the expos showcased the last surviving Tartarian architecture and technology, and gave elites time to study, photograph, and erase it. A total rewrite of history, one that replaced Tartaria with the narrative we're told today. Was it a natural cataclysm, like the mysterious mud flood? Or was it engineered? Some say it was part of a coordinated effort by emerging world powers and elite plan to erase the old world, take control of its technology, and write a new version of history. Suddenly, maps changed. Old architecture was rebranded as Victorian or Gothic, and the memory of Tartaria vanished. Coincidence or cover-up? But mainstream education doesn't even mention Tartaria. Not in textbooks, not in museums. Why? Because questioning Tartaria means questioning everything. The reset wasn't just physical, it was cultural and, maybe, intentional. Giant shoes, massive chairs, doors towering 2 stories high. Are these just exaggerations of old architecture or signs of something forgotten? Some believe Tartaria was ruled by giants, physical beings, and the clues might be hiding in plain sight. All across Europe, Asia, and even North America, you'll find old photos of buildings with giant doorways far taller than any human, staircases that seem out of scale, and furniture, chairs, beds, bathtubs far too large for average people. Add to that, enormous coats, gloves, and boots are photographed in museums, and ancient texts that speak of rulers of enormous stature. According to some alternative historians, Tartaria wasn't just a high-tech civilization. It was ruled by a race of giant beings, possibly standing 8 to 12 feet tall. They supposedly possessed superior strength, advanced knowledge, and the ability to build the megalithic structures we still can't explain. Some legends even suggest these giants were part of royal bloodlines, revered and feared across continents. And when Tartaria fell, so did they. Why would anyone erase giants from history? Some say it's because their existence challenges everything. cathedrals with copper domes, towers with metal spikes, buildings that looked less like churches and more like power stations. What if the ancient world wasn't primitive but powered by free energy? And what if Tartaria had it all? According to alternative historians, the civilization of Tartaria may have tapped into a natural force called ether. An invisible energy field surrounds everything. The theory: Tartarians built massive structures designed to draw energy from the ether using domes, antennas, copper, gold, and sacred geometry. No wires, no pollution, no fuel. It's pure, wireless energy shared freely across cities. Sound familiar? Even Nikola Tesla spoke of similar ideas. Look closely at the architecture of the 1700s and 1800s. Cathedrals with metal spires and round domed towers shaped like Tesla coils with mysterious metal balls and star-shaped layouts. Many of these structures had no clear purpose, were built before electricity was invented and appear across the world. They're religious monuments or ancient energy hubs. If Tartaria truly harnessed free energy, why don't we learn about it? Some believe the technology was deliberately erased during the so-called Great Reset. Old buildings rebranded as churches, city halls, or museums antennas. The science of etheric energy was buried and replaced with profit-driven electricity. If energy were free, who would stay in control? Were Tartarian buildings ancient batteries? Did we once live in a world powered by the sky itself? If so, why was it all hidden? Whether Tartaria was real, misunderstood, or purposefully erased, one thing is certain: history is not as clear-cut as we've been told. So, what else might we be missing? Like, subscribe, and dive deeper with us into the hidden histories they don't want you to know. This is just the beginning.